Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Sip and Sync with Azure. We're talking about GitHub Copilot Coding Agents today, and I have got our VP of Product Management from the Coding Agent team. Luke,
Great
welcome
to be here.
the show.
Yeah.
Awesome. So tell us what you do at Microsoft.
Yeah, so I'm leading our teams building the GitHub Copilot Coding Agent and really sort of the way that we're bringing agents into the GitHub Copilot platform.
So let's start with the evolution over the last 2-3 years or so, where we really just started with code generation with AI, and now we are in the autonomous agents era. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so it's amazing that it's already been almost 4 years since we were initially released GitHub Copilot. And I think initially you looked at what it was doing and the scope of the changes it was making on your behalf. It was the next few lines, next few pieces of the code. And over the last 4 years, we've kind of increasingly expanded what the capabilities of GitHub Copilot can be, from the next few lines to suggesting edits across your files to now agent mode inside VS Code, where you can sort of do entire tasks sort of that you're working on inside your IDE.
Yeah.
And I think this latest phase with Coding Agent is really bringing that into, not just an individual developer productivity on their machine, but how do we bring that to the team, right? How do we bring these team members in that can help you out inside GitHub? And so that's what we're doing with Coding Agent now.
Great. So I know we're only focusing on the coding agent for today's part of the conversation, but really this is where the evolution of software engineering and software development lifecycle with AI is going to be, where every single step of that life cycle, right, can have autonomous and non-autonomous, or synchronous and non-synchronous agents, asynchronous agents, which we will work with to get our tasks done as a part of the software development lifecycle.
Yeah, it's exactly right. And I think Coding Agent is one where it's, kind of helping you to write code. We also have, Copilot Code Review, which is helping to review code. We have, the SRE agent from Azure that's helping us to sort of bring operational insights back into your workflow. So we're already bringing many of these to bear, but we're also sort of looking at the platform that's going to enable going forward.
Exactly. So should we take a look?
Sure. Yeah. So, I mean, we both launched the Coding Agent back at Build in preview. And I think now we've been adding a number of additional features on top of that over the last few weeks. So moving quickly to bring more and more capabilities for developers. And I think, if you look at what we initially launched with Copilot Coding Agent, it really was this ability to, from any issue you have in your backlog that your team has not been able to get to because you're so busy with all these things you want to do, you can go now in your assignee list, you could assign it to someone in your team, they could go pick it up, but hey, maybe this is something that Copilot can take on your behalf. And so we can just assign it directly to Copilot here. It'll go pick that work up, in a couple of seconds. It should show the eyes here. It's looking at it. And then it should eventually come down. Well, this one I've tested a bunch of times, but you see it just posted a link to the PR where it's starting to work on that for me, right? Yeah. And so now I can go in and look at the work that it's doing. And so this experience of being able to assign work to Copilot, have it autonomously go off and work on that, this might take 10 minutes to go work on it. It's going to work really hard on the problem for me. So this is the experience we initially launched, but now we're kind of building the next phases of that.
Yeah. And then what this really does for an enterprise and a business, right, is as a developer, I can be working on a more high value task while Copilot is helping me maybe write test cases or things, or low level feature completion work.
Yeah, that's right. I think now it's, there's a lot of these issues that just sit on the backlog, whether they're, hey, I need to improve the test coverage here, or there's some small bug in this project, but it's not going to be the prioritized thing. And now I can just go assign those off to Copilot, come back to them, review its work. And if it's good, I'll merge it. If it's not, I'll kind of move on and do my work. It lets me as a developer focus on the things that are the highest use of my time. Exactly. And so this, this example is actually a real one where this was an issue in the GitHub CLI itself that had sat on the backlog for almost a year, hadn't been gotten to. A real bug, but a minor bug.
Yeah.
And, hey, we were able to go assign it to Coding Agent. It was one of the first things that we ever kind of actually fixed with Coding Agent in a public repository.
That's amazing.
But I think the thing we've moved to now is, hey, it's great to be able to assign issues to Copilot Coding Agent, but hey, what if you just have an idea of something you want to improve and you just want to have it go off and do that? And so we've recently introduced this new sort of github.com/copilot/agents page, which is sort of an agent command center where you can go, spin off arbitrary tasks and see all the tasks that you have done. And so here you see that one that I just assigned is actually working right now, right? So this is an agent working on my behalf and I can see it spinning, kind of working on that for me. But I can also see all the other ones that I've spun off over the last, few weeks here. And I can kick off a new one here. So, for example, I could come over into, a similar repository. This is a copy of that. And I could say, improve the README. Um, And so I don't have time to go look at it carefully, but I just want its ideas about what it could do to improve the README, and it'll go off and work on that now. And I can come back and check on that later, and it'll open up a PR for me.
And this has gone, I don't have an issue for this already. Right. I'm just having a conversation, and I know we should be improving our README in this case. And you just write it in natural language, and it goes off, creates the issue, and works on it.
That's exactly right. And I think the idea is, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, if you have this thought, I would like to make this improvement, but you don't have time to interrupt yourself and you're in the middle of some other thing, you can just go spawn it off and have GitHub Copilot Coding Agent work on it. And I think this command sentence dashboard for agents gives us a single place we can go, kind of see all that work, check in on what is ready for my review, and go kick off new tasks.
I could be off on walking my dog, and ideas can be coming in, and I could be asking on this page to do that. Right?
Well, that's a great point. So we can actually do this from GitHub Mobile too. Okay. So I actually have it here. I'll just say open a PR to improve the test coverage in this repo, right? So I'll just hit send on that. And we should see in a couple of seconds, that'll actually pop up here in my task list. And this is the idea that I've actually done this myself. I'm walking around, I have some idea, I want to just kick it off. There we go, improve test coverage, right? So I can use my phone just anywhere I am. I can kick off some new work.
This is great. So what else is your team working on right now that we should be excited about as software engineers?
Yes, there's a few other things that we've shipped even just recently. And this is about the interface to where I can come to kick things off. But there's also what the agent itself is capable of doing. And we're constantly making the agent more capable, have richer ability to solve problems on your behalf. And so one that I think is really fun is, I'll just jump into this one, which did last week. We recently added the ability for the agent to actually have a web browser built in that it can use to test out changes, right? And so if you're thinking about doing front-end, dev engineering work, pretty hard to do that if you don't have access to a web browser to see what the results of your work are like and iterate on it. And so we've given that ability now to the agent so it can do that as well. And so one of the upsides of that is, we have now the ability to attach screenshots, right? So this is work that the agent did on my behalf. It actually was clicking around trying to test out its work, and it took some screenshots along the way. And then it attaches those screenshots into the pull request to show me here's kind of what the results are going to look like afterwards. So when I come in to review this, I can just look at those screenshots and say, hey, that looks really good. And I can improve that. Right?
More visual.
Yeah. And we can even see, the work that it does to get a sense of kind of how rich this capability is. It worked for nearly 10 minutes here on this particular issue. And we can see in this session log all of the work that it did to accomplish that. And so, for example, if I find one of these down here, you can see it, ran a npm run dev here, right? So it's actually running a dev web server inside of its container on my behalf. It's checking in on the results of that to see what the output looks like. And then it's ultimately using the Playwright MCP server, so Model Context Protocol, the ability to plug these additional things in. And it's using Playwright to sort of automate its own browser, right? So it's navigating around inside its browser. It's taking screenshots, and that's where these are coming from. It's clicking on parts of the UI to see if the changes it made actually really work. So you see it interactively actually really trying to problem solve and work with this. And all of this is purely an agent operating on your behalf trying to solve this problem.
Yeah. So you touched on something really crucial here, which is MCP, Model Context Protocol, and integrated with Playwright for the web testing and interface. But you can do MCP connections with pretty much anything that has an MCP server. So that makes it extremely powerful for enterprises, right?
Yeah, so this Playwright MCP is one that we have installed by default, right? And so you don't have to do any configuration. You get this for free. You also get the GitHub MCP for free, which has access to a bunch of capabilities from other issues or PRs that we might need to bring into context. But to your point, you can bring any MCP server you have. So there's an enormous ecosystem now of MCP servers. You can go configure any of those you want to give this agent access to that, to give it access to other context and information or other tools that it may need to solve problems within your repository.
Yep.
One other thing I think we've done kind of on the MCP side is actually made GitHub Copilot Coding Agent available within the GitHub MCP server recently. And so that means that no matter where you're using the GitHub MCP server, even if it's in, Claude Code or Anthropic's, console, any place where you're using MCPs, you can actually kick work off to Copilot Coding Agent.
Coding.
Right? So now it's really easy to automate the process of sending these things off from any context you're operating with.
That is absolutely powerful and amazing. With that, I am so excited for all of these things that are coming out. And thanks for showing us everything. And thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you so much.
Awesome. And thank you for joining us today on this episode of Sip and Sync. I hope you are excited about the next evolution of agents in software development. We will drop all the links for you in the description below and cannot wait to see you next time. Thank you.